The Gifted Season 1 is supposed to be set on the same universe of the X-Men movies, though you take apart a few references here and there, and it's all the same without being set in that universe. And while today we are not going to delve into everything that happened this season, we are going to be mentioning a few things that are spoilery, so here is your warning. So The Gifted takes place sometime where the X-Men are gone, so I'm guessing it's after Xavier kills them in what we learn in the Logan film, but before, way before, the actual Logan movie from last year. And in The Gifted we meet the Struckers, but also this ragtag group of mutants led by Eclipse and Thunderbird and Polaris, and they also meet Blink. So we have a lot of familiar mutants, but mutants that normally wouldn't be approached in the films as main characters. And I really like this because The Gift understands character dynamics a lot. It understands family dynamics a lot, or at least the family dynamics that are familiar to us X-Men fans from the comics. The Gifted also understands what made the X-Men thrive and shine through because of the political undertones and the things about prejudice that it approaches, and The Gifted does all that very well. We have different family dynamics, like we have the Struckers, then we have this ragtag group of mutants, then we find out that the Struckers are also mutants, the kids at least, and then they join, and we have these several broken pieces that come together to make something that is stronger once they are united. And what I like about the Struckers is that from the get-go, the father, played by Stephen Moyer, he's a guy who's doing everything he can to protect his family. The job he does, it is prosecuting mutants, yet he does this because he believes it's what's the best for his family. But then things shift once he finds out his kids are mutants, and I really like that because his motivations don't really change at all. It's the twisted perspective in which the world has molded his views on mutants that made him go at protecting his family the way he was doing it. Right now he starts doing it a very different way, and the fair way, once he understands the side of the mutants, once he listens to them. And I thought that was very well done, not only for the character but for the story as a whole, because then his former friend and now enemy, this Agent Turner, we see his backstory, we see how he lost his daughter because of mutant altercations going on, and I really love this character. This character was one of those that at the beginning I did not like. I went from not liking this character, wanting him gone because I just thought the character was not interesting whatsoever, and he is now one of my favorite characters, and I love what the show does with him by the end, that he has gone through the loss of his daughter once more because they take away his memory, and then he remembers everything all over again as if it was the first time, and now he is done. He is not holding back because the government wants him to hold back. He turns his badge in and he's now going full throttle at the mutants. Let's talk about the kids because they were our main driving force, at least in the beginning of the show, because we had to get accustomed to this show, and the show did very well by connecting us to the mutants that are connected to the humans first and foremost. These kids are just finding out that they are human, and again the show plays very well with the metaphor the X-Men do always of having mutant powers being a metaphor for entering puberty, and the kids are around that age, though they have already entered puberty. I really like these kids. They are fantastic, both acting wise and the characters. Lauren, for instance, is one of my two favorite characters on this show, and it's very intriguing and interesting that a show like The Gifted, that is politically charged, and when it's most necessary to be politically charged around these times, is also driven by a lot of strong female characters, and Lauren is a shining example of that. By the way, totally called it that they would be the Von Struckers, and I love that they actually are. These kids are powerful, and I can't wait to see what the show does with them now that by the end they are on opposite sides of the spectrum, but we'll get to that. Let's talk about our main mutants. Jamie Chung as Blink shines through. I love her story, I love her struggles, I love that she doubts herself, I love that we don't see a lot of her powers, I love that she struggles to use her powers, because opening portals through space and transporting people through space has got to get a lot out of you, and the show really explores that very well, not only through her, but through many of the other characters. But I thought that her was a shining example because she was the first one that the show did this with. It explores the powers, it explores how the powers affects the user of said powers, it explores how this takes out of the mutants themselves. Thunderbird was another character I did not care for whatsoever at the beginning of the show. Come the end, he's one of my favorites. He's really good. Blair Redford, who plays him, is incredible. And did you see Boss Logic's work on this guy to make him the Crow, although I do not want him to join the Crow, not only because he would be leaving the show if he did, but also that project is beyond dead, even though they're trying to resurrect it. But the guy is great. I love the powers. I love that he's the strategist. I love that he's the guy that upholds the group to a high standard and is the voice of reason most of the time. He's like that big brother. He's not the father, that is Eclipse or even Strucker, but this guy is the big brother that even calls the father to reason sometimes. I just love how the show uses him. Another character I really love, or rather the duo, is Eclipse and Polaris. These two are fantastic. Their story together, how they came to be together, how they came to be a couple, how they did not like one another at the beginning is very well done. And I like Eclipse being a very bad leader sometimes. This guy was not born to be a leader. He did not want to be a leader. He was forced to become a leader to protect the mutants because they were now becoming extinct. The X-Men are gone, the Hellfire Club is gone, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants is gone, and this guy just gathered mutants around, and then he realized, holy shit, I have to lead these dudes. And he finds himself in this precarious situation where he is doing something that he wants and he finds necessary, but he doesn't know how to do it. And that's where the group and family dynamic comes in and plays a big part at. And I love his relationship with Polaris, who is my other favorite character in this show. Emma Dumont kicks ass from the beginning, and from the very beginning when they are being captured, before she is actually captured, you see that she is the reckless one. She is the one that holds the most grudge against the humans, and she is not letting them go. She is pushing that guy up at the container, throwing him and throwing him and throwing him. She is captured, she is imprisoned, she meets Strucker, she meets Sterner, she is then taken out of prison, and I love to find out that she is pregnant, because from then on, how the show utilizes the fact that she is pregnant is the same way that the X-Men comics, movies, whatever, have always used the teenage puberty thing. She is pregnant, her hormones are jumping around constantly, and she was already very damaged and very vengeful when it came to humans. And I love how the show uses the fact that in a situation where a woman should be fragile, it just puts her more on that position where she will not think about things. She will kill you if you cross a line for her. And Polaris is my favorite character in this show. She has a lot of Magneto within her personality, and even if you don't know that she is the daughter of Magneto from the comics, you watch the show, you see a lot of Magneto in her. Not only in her powers, which are very similar visually to how the MCU uses Scarlet Witch's powers, which I thought was very interesting, but in this last episode, in the finale, you see her juggling around with this little piece of Bordeaux crimson metal that looks like something Magneto would have on his helmet or on his belt if we look at the classic costume from the comics. And by the end of the episode, she just kills that senator and kills the scientist who experimented on the Strucker kids earlier in the season, and now she is bringing back the Hellfire Club with the Stepford Cuckoos. That I love that the show utilizes these characters. These three Cuckoos played by Skylar Samuels were fantastic. I love these characters in the comics, and I love that the show called them Frosts. That is a very, very nice touch, and I love that the mutants are brought together at the end of the season and the episode, but also divided at this little safe house that has this sign that says J. Kirby's on the front. Just thought that was a very cool, nice Easter egg. And now Polaris is going to be the leader of the Hellfire Club, just like her father was the one that divided many of the mutants before, and now Eclipse is going to lead the new X-Men, I guess. So in many ways, you can look at the Gifted and see Excalibur or X-Force or many other teams of X-Men that are not necessarily the X-Men. I thought the show utilized the themes of the X-Men very well. It explores them very well. It uses characters very well. The show understands how to be a show. I would even compare it to how good Firefly was as a single season show that should have never have ended, and this one will not end as well. The Gifted is confirmed for a season 2. I can't wait for season 2 to see what happens now that the Struckers are divided and they can no longer be that powerful. I can't wait to see what comes from Eclipse and Polaris now that they are divided on different sides of the playing field, because she is still pregnant with his child, and I can only believe that the show will delve even more into more X-Men mythos because it explores that very well. It has those references that are very subtle to those who don't read the comics, but references that at the same time are very strong and powerful for us that read the comics and recognize these storylines and these characters and what they are here to do. And this show really surprised me. I was not looking forward to The Gifted whatsoever, but I love seeing this world come together, seeing these characters come together and breaking apart, seeing them become fully realized three-dimensional characters. It stays tried and true to the formula that made the X-Men work, what made them so significant, and what still makes the X-Men great. Movies, comics, other medium, doesn't matter. The Gifted is a great show. It is a great comic book show, a great X-Men show, but a show that discusses several topics that are very needed right now, and I will say that The Gifted is an absolute collector's item. What did you think of The Gifted, my beautiful geekies? Did you enjoy it? Did you not? Is this the X-Men show you were always waiting for? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you want to see for season 2 and who is your favorite character in this season. This week I still have reviews for The Commuter and In the Fate, and on Sunday I will go to my Geek Classic reviews for Maze Runner before next week I give you my review for Maze Runner Death Cure. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the best. I can't wait to bring you more reviews, and so until then, you stay beautiful, you stay geeky, and if you haven't done so yet, click the subscribe button and the bell so we can be geeky united!